What's going on, guys, and welcome back to my channel for the first FM23 experiment of the cycle. Now, first and foremost, I'm just going to put this up on screen. Tell me what's wrong with it. I'll give you 10 seconds. Have you figured it out yet? If you haven't, Premier League champions Manchester City are no longer in the Premier League. They've been replaced with Wrexham. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney's Wrexham. They are in the Premier League. So that does mean if we drop down the divisions, we're working our way down into the National League. You will find Manchester City still managed by Pep, still got all the players that they have, but they are just going to be a National League club. I wanted to do an experiment. I wanted to put Manchester City right into the National League to see how long initially it would take them to get back into the Premier League. I also wanted the comical factor of seeing how many goals Erling Haaland would actually score in the National League with this team, because I think it's going to be pretty darn impressive. So I had to put a team back into the Premier League. So I just did a quick swap and Wrexham are in the Premier League. What we're going to do in this video, guys, we are going to simulate forward 5 and 10 years to see what happens to both these two clubs. Obviously, we've not altered the budgets or anything, so Manchester City are going to have a ginormous budget in the National League, and Wrexham are initially not going to have a massive Premier League budget, but you would imagine a couple of Premier League parachute payments after. They should be okay, so I'm hoping to see what happens to them over the next 5 seasons. Do me a favor, guys, if you do like the FM23 experimental content, please do let me know down below by dropping a like on today's video, and if you are picking up content for the very first time, consider hitting that subscribe button, because, you know, it's free and all of that good stuff. But I also want you guys to let me know down in that comment section, how many goals will Erling Haaland score in the National League? That's my question for today. My question of the day: how many goals will Erling Haaland score in the National League in this simulation? So without any further ado, let's jump forward 5 years and see how both teams are getting on. So we've jumped forward 5 years into the future, and it's time to check out both of these clubs. And we're going to start off with Manchester City. I'm super curious to see how long it's taken them and where they've actually got to over this 5-year period. Okay, so they are back in the Premier League. It says they're 11th, so it looks like the season's already ticked over to start things. But with the fact that they've been in the Premier League, leads me to believe that they've had back-to-back promotions. So they were in the National League. Obviously, they did win that. First place finish in Sky Bet League 2. First place finish in Sky Bet League 1. First place finish in the Championship. And in their first season back in the Premier League... This just goes to show how ridiculously overpowered this Manchester City team is. After a 5-year absence, they managed to win the Premier League at the first time of asking, which is just absolutely mad. In terms of some of the FA Cups, I don't know, it's not popping up with the dates that they've won the FA Cups, which is rather disappointing, but their Premier League trophy haul and returning to Premier League success, pretty darn impressive. So first of all, let's have a look at the players. Actually, no, first of all, is Pep still the manager? Okay, so Pep Guardiola is still the manager here. We take a look at his record since he's been here. Pep's done pretty well in these 10 years, but in the time that we have been simulating, let's see. So they won the Community Shield, they won the National League, won the Papa John's Trophy, won Sky Bet League 2, won the Emirates FA Cup in 2024 from Sky Bet League 2, won the Community Shield again, obviously because of that, won Sky Bet League 1, won Sky Bet League 2, won the Carabao Cup. That's back in the Premier League. So won the Carabao Cup, won the Premier League, won the Emirates FA Cup, and obviously they will be going back into Champions League competition. His record has been pretty impressive. So if we go on the overview, you can still see Mr. Erling Haaland is still here. He's actually stayed with Manchester City this entire time. Let's have a look at their squad in terms of who they've picked. They've still got Ederson, John Stones, Laporte is there, Jude Bellingham. I'm very intrigued to see when they bought Bellingham. Olise is there, so they've still got a very, very good team. Obviously, it looks like they've been forced to sell some of their players, so we will get to the Erling Haaland question of the day in a minute. Let's have a look at their transfers. Obviously, this is the first season So £42 million on the outgoings. Callum Doyle and Bernardo Silva being one of those that they were forced to sell in the as they were in the National League going into League 2, because it did happen in June 2023. So Bernardo Silva, Sergio Gomez, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 are players that left in Season 1, but they didn't spend any money. They did not recruit any talent to the National League. The following season, the following season they spent £76 million as a League 2 club. They sold Kevin De Bruyne to Atletico Madrid for £16 million. João Cancelo to Barcelona for £22.5 million. Ruben Diaz to PSG for £105 million. So you can still see they are making money hand over fist, this Manchester City team. Absolutely smashing it. Players that they brought in: Rob Holding, Naby Keita. They spent £42 million on Naby Keita in League 2, which is impressive. Joe Willock, Maitland-Niles. They also got ex-Bristol City goalkeeper Dan Bentley, who obviously didn't have a great time at Manchester City. Moving things on, so this is as they are going into Sky Bet League 1. Obviously, they've lost a couple more players as well. Sold Joe Willock to Barcelona. Fair play. Cole Palmer's gone to Brighton. Any other big outgoings? Rob Holding's gone to Palmeiras, because obviously Lewis Cook, Tariq Lamptey and Curtis Jones are players coming in, working their way up. They've still got a couple of other players as well. Nicola Ravella is a very nice signing for them as well. Rendon Lodi is there. Riyad Mahrez leaves on a free transfer. Tariq Lamptey, bought him 1 year, sold him to Real Madrid the year after. Absolutely crazy business by Manchester City here. And as you can see, they spent £102 million on one Jude Bellingham. And just out of curiosity, yeah, Bellingham's still going to be very good this year, isn't he? So they've done very, very well. Very, very interested. And obviously we're about to go into season number 6, back as the Premier League champions. So very, very impressive. Let's have a look at Erling Haaland then. This is the main man. It looks like he's had a very good time at Manchester City. Some of those mentals: 20 determination, 20 off the ball, and 20 composure. There is a little thing about the mental attributes at the moment being a little bit skewy, and I can kind of see why. If we go into his career stats then, in the National League, wow, Erling Haaland, 24 games, 10 goals in the National League. I can't believe that. Almost his best return was in the Championship. 10 goals in the National League in league matches, 21 in Sky Bet League 2, 20 in League 1, 29 in the Championship, and then 22 in his most recent season. Obviously, the National League isn't built for Erling Haaland. That's not necessarily his game. But 10 goals? That is absolutely ludicrous. So let's go and have a little quick peek at the other team, which was Wrexham. They now have Jesse Marsh as their manager, and they are in Sky Bet League 1, so not too shabby at all. Looks like, let's have a look at that overview. So they were in the Premier League, they were relegated from the Premier League, then back-to-back relegations, finished bottom of the Sky Bet Championship as well, and then they've had 3 seasons in League 1. So it looks like those parachute payments have managed to balance their way out. I wonder if they are now going to make a surge and try and push their way back up and get into the Championship. Let's have a look at some of their players in their squad, see if there's anyone who's really stand out here. No one immediately bringing my attention to them. So let's see how they've been in the transfer market. Obviously in that first season they did have a little bit of cash. They bought Zane Westbrook from Bristol Rovers to play in the Premier League, which is a bit of a risk. The season after, they spent £2.1 million. Obviously this is the Championship season, 52k of players out, £2.1 million worth of players in. Obviously Championship team, not too bad. £6.5 million the season after, again sort of bringing that squad up to balance to be a League 1 side, and again £1.1 million worth of players out. Following season, £4.8 million worth of transfers in, 76k out. Then they started spending some money, £10.5 million on players, most of this going on Ryan Nyambe, who I believe, is he the former Blackburn fullback? He is. Looks like he's bounced around a couple of clubs as well. And then most recently, they've made a couple more signings, so £5.5 million. So still spending a decent amount for League 1. I just want to have a look, actually, at Manchester City's run and progress through the leagues. So where is the National League? There we go. So National League, I'm just curious, in that first season in the National League, Manchester City lost away at Eastleigh. They lost, and they drew 3 games as well. Drew against Chesterfield, Scunthorpe and Notts County, which is very interesting for a team of that calibre. Yes, they lost some players, but they didn't lose that many players. So in that second season, promoted, not losing a game all season. They did draw at home to Leyton Orient and Cheltenham, so fair play to those guys in that season. In the third season, working their way back up. Champions again, they did lose a game away at Shrewsbury. They drew at home to Portsmouth as well with a 133-point season. And then the following year, they were obviously in the Championship, and they did win the Sky Bet Championship as well. So that season, 4 defeats for them in the Championship, all away from home: Birmingham, Bristol City, Bolton and Hull, and then 2 draws away at Bournemouth and Luton as well. But 122 points, winning the division by 30 in a division that's got Everton in it, which is interesting. Nottingham Forest back down there as well. And then in that most recent season in the Premier League, if we jump up one more, final year, and we take a look at the last season, they did win the division with 87 points. We're going to jump forward another 5 years now, because Manchester City are back in the Premier League. They're kind of back on top. I want to see if Pep can go within 10 years from being in the National League with a team to winning a Champions League with a team. So guys, 5 more years into the future. Manchester City are obviously still established as a Premier League team, but they've only won the title once since they were back in the Premier League. They finished the most recent season down in 6th, actually. So if we go and have a look at Man City, Pep is still the manager. Erling Haaland is still the captain. So they won the Premier League their first time back there. Since then, they finished 4th. They won it again, finished third, and in the most recent season, they did finish down in 6th. So Pep has managed to work his way back up and work some of his magic. If we go into the managers, has he since won them no, just an additional FA Cup and Premier League and Community Shield. So no success for Pep Guardiola in the Champions League since returning back to the Prem. Let's have a look at their squad. Still got Ederson, Scalvini is very, very good this year. Florentino Lloris, we'd already seen they bought him. Olise, Ferran Torres and Erling Haaland. Has he continued to score at a very impressive rate? I'll tell you what, I've seen simulations where Erling Haaland is done infinitely better. And if you want to see someone manage Erling Haaland better than Pep is in game right now, come check me out on my live streams, because we're doing Man City as our beta, because it's funny, isn't it? We've got Haaland. So Man City have done pretty well. If we take a look back at the Premier League, though, are we just bouncing around? There we go. Yeah, I did notice that Manchester United, won the Premier League with this man. Everyone's done a video on Hendrick, so I will not be doing a video on Hendrick, but here he is, 10 years into the future. He looks unreal and has come via Sunderland and Freiburg to be at Manchester United. So the main question that I do have now is Wrexham. Where are Wrexham? They are rock bottom of the Sky Bet Championship. So they did get promoted, but unfortunately not good enough to stay in the Championship. So if we go and have a look at Wrexham, Alex Smithies is their manager now. Now the former, QPR, Cardiff, Leicester City goalkeeper. So fair play to him. It looks like he's bounced around EFL a little bit. Not done necessarily fantastic, and obviously is the man unfortunately responsible for taking them down. But they've had some very interesting managers though. Phil Parkinson, obviously the manager at the time. Jesse Marsh was there last time we had a little look. Mark Hughes as a manager there didn't necessarily do very well. He was only there in a caretaker capacity. Thomas Frank there, he was the man responsible for relegation from the Sky Bet Championship. And then Alex Smithies has only been in the job just 2 days. So some very interesting managers there. There's the full list. Darren Ferguson in there as well as interesting managers for Wrexham. But it looks like they've had a little bit of a torrid time. A sustained period of balance, I would say, after being thrust into the Premier League in League One. Got promoted, winning a Sky Bet League One last season in the 2029-2030 season, finishing top as well. So very impressive. Then they had a season where they finished in 6th in the Championship, and then it's all gone wrong, and they are now back down into Sky Bet League One. It's very interesting to see what can happen in some of these experiments, guys. And if any of you actually did get the number of goals for Erling Haaland correct, I applaud you, because I was expecting somewhere in the region of like 60, 70 in the National League, and he just really did disappoint. If there is any other FM experimental content that you guys would like to see, drop it down in the comments. If you do have some ideas, I'd love to hear from you guys and see what sort of content you would like to see on this year's game. But until next time, guys, check out this video right here, which, as I mentioned, I'm managing Man City in the beta. Come check out this highlight video.